Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 1 of the anime series Boku Dake ga Inai Machi, or Erased, which was a series that really stood out to me when I was looking over the winter 2015 PVs of new series. The whole time travel effect. I'm a big sci-fi geek and love time travel aesthetics, and I was really curious to see how they were going to put that forth in this series where the MC, Satoru is said to be able to prevent deaths through this ability that he has. I didn't know if it was going to be technology-based, a la The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, kind of, sort of, or if it was going to be, and I was kind of surprised how on the nose it was, like a butterfly effect, a thing mentally, triggered, and Satoru sees butterflies before this actually happens. So the form and function of this ability, seeing him, during his sort of, part-time job as a pizza delivery guy, riding on moped and experiencing this and realizing a truck driver had a heart attack, saving a kid's life, all of that was thoroughly exciting and captivating to me. And it was kind of, right up there. I mean, I figured by that point in the show, I was dead on thinking, okay, I'm going to be covering this. And let me get it out of the way right away and say that by the end of the episode, I dialed back on that. I don't expect to be covering this episodically. I think I'll still be watching it, but I just feel like there are certain elements to the murder mystery aesthetic. By the time this episode ends, there was an uncomfortability factor for me as a viewer that hit a little too close to home, a disconcerting nature that hit a little too close to home to a series like The Perfect Insider, which I hated, I loathed, and I feel like I've been scarred by that show. Because there are themes that take place in this episode, twists and everything like that. The feel of it just felt a little too similar to that series. I'm not saying that I think the series is going to play out like that, but I don't have that excitement that I did going into it by the end. And I think a lot of what that had to do with was the mother character. Like, she was my favorite character in this episode. I loved her character, and it wasn't just because I'm kind of reminded of, like, she's like an alternate universe Motoko Kusanagi from Ghost in the Shell with the purple hair, and certain times when you see her from certain angles, when she's reacting to this guy who's trying to kidnap the kid out of the supermarket parking lot, I was like, whoa, that could have been right out of Ghost in the Shell. Whenever she doesn't have that sort of duck-faced lip thing going on, and you have Satoru talking about, she's like a yokai, she's like a spirit, because she's 52 or whatever, and she looks like she could be his older sister, according to Airi, his co-worker at the pizza joint, which I thought she was like my second favorite character, because she's bubbly, she's vivacious, but she's weird. She's the weird girl, and I love how the mother's like, she digs him, you could get with that. Thanks, Mom, Mom imposes herself on Satoru's life after this accident. After he gets out of the hospital, she was bored waiting in the hospital, so she just moved into his little flat, his little apartment, and she doesn't want to go to a hotel. She's basically claiming his futon, his TV, all his beverages, all his food, everything like that. And it was just hilarious. And when you get to that mystery aspect, calling back on these repressed memories that he has of these two childhood, schoolmates or whatever it is, who were kidnapped, presumably murdered. They went missing. They were cold cases. It was never solved, whatever like that. And you had this guy who was kind of like a simpleton. I don't know if it was mental retardation or just not all there, but he's really friendly with the kids. And they, sort of thought he was the one who had done this. They incarcerated him, prosecuted and incarcerated him. And lo and behold, do we find that, his mother, Sachiko, believes she should have listened to him now. Like, after seeing this guy try to make off with this kid, oh crap, we got the wrong guy those many years ago. And I was goosebumps, like mad excited, because the prospect of mother and son dealing with this together, he has the abilities, she could be his confidant. I was mad stoked by that because I didn't see that coming. And just as I had that realization, like, wow, this is awesome, the mother's going to be involved in the story, boom, shiv right in the back. By presumably whomever this guy is who recognized her, put two and two together. Oh crap, she came from Hokkaido or wherever, long journey. She's going to hang out with the son, but now it's too close to home and she needs to be dispatched. And then of course you have Satoru getting home, the neighbor thinking he had something to do with it. He's sort of inadvertently framed. I don't know if it was intentional. The write-up for the series subsequently after this episode is aired seems to pinpoint that this was done on purpose, but it just seemed like a happenstance that the neighbor saw the blood on his hand and made the assumption. And of course he has the butterfly effect time trip thing again. With the death of his mother and the reveal of his being seemingly set up, whether intentionally or not, and then this butterfly effect time trip to the point where he's back in the early 80s as a kid, really intrigued me on one hand and disconcerted me on the other. Because just to get into a little personal, aspects of my own life offline and everything, my sister and I lost our parents early on in life, and I had to become her guardian. And there's many years of strife and hellacious stuff, having lost them, dealing with dealing with our lives in the wake of their deaths and everything like that, that we have often said, it would be like a nightmare scenario to wake up and suddenly be 12 again and have to live all of that again. And so I was really off-put by the fact that here is our main character, Satoru, and that's exactly what he now has to deal with, what he now has to contend with. Now, it could be highly intriguing if, Satoru from modern day, his mentality, his mental state, all of his knowledge and awareness were brought back with him. And he could sort of, relive events of his life, but hopefully change things up and be aware. It could be even compelling if that's starting to fade, like that doesn't stay with him. But there's just a really disconcerting, almost frightening aesthetic to that I don't know, it rubs me the wrong way. I felt my excitement deflated with the death of the mother and then this twist toward the end. It's just like, I hope it stays interesting, and I'm going to be going into episode 2 very curious. And if it's spectacular, maybe I'll be back here in a week talking about it. It remains to be seen, Only time will tell. But because of that reveal, because of that twist of the mother being killed and taken out of the whole effect, I was just disappointed by that. And I just feel like, again, the murder mystery aesthetic, like it feels disconcerting and it feels uncomfortable, but not in that fascinating, intriguing flair that gets me excited and holy crap, I want to see what happens next. I do want to see what happens next, but I don't feel happy with it. I don't feel excited about it. I'm like tentative. I'm like, I have it like the sense of anxiety. It almost tripped, anxiety in me emotionally. That was my reaction to it. So, I thought the episode for the most part was stellar. Stellar way to start a series, and I can't wait to see where it goes. I just don't know at this juncture if I'm going to want to be sticking around for the long haul. It depends on what they do, where they go with it, and the idea of covering it episodically, at least for now, is off the table. We'll see what happens after episode 2 and such like that, if it really expounds. And, I know sort of the focus of Satoru now is going to be looking after this girl, or trying to fix the scenario of this girl that was his schoolmate who went missing, Ko, I think was her name. However that's pronounced, Ko. But it does have very intriguing aspects to it. I don't feel the excitement and the drive to necessarily want to talk about it. I did want to talk about the first episode just to put forth, why did they kill the mother? She was the best thing about this episode. And then you kill her, and then like maybe she'll be back in an episode or two. I don't know. Maybe he'll mind trip to the future again. I hope the whole series isn't going to be him stuck in the past and having to live up to that day again, or I do hope there is some more time trippiness going on. But we'll have to see. So I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 1 of Erased, if you've seen it, if you thought it was excellent. If you thought it was sort of mediocre, if you weren't impressed with it at all, anything goes in the comments below. Love having the conversation. And so yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well. I'll catch you all later. Peace.